Hey everybody, what's up? My name's Mackenzie.
And I'm Jonathan.
We are husband and wife. We're TerreDice Games, where we love to play board games and talk about them. And that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, we're talking about Mandalorian Adventures Clan of Two, which is the brand new expansion to the Mandalorian Adventures game.
And we're also going to touch on the base game, The Mandalorian Adventures, because you cannot play the new expansion without the base game. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and blast off into this talk.
So, what do we get in the expansion? Well, the base game is a storybook dungeon crawler, kind of like you progress through the story through this like spiral bound book. So we get a brand new book of adventures. Now, they follow the same pattern of this like really cool artistic comic book that we get setting up the episode, followed by a map. Now, on that map, we have a mission, we have printed rules, we have a bunch of stuff that's got to spawn that we're going to go fight stormtroopers, whatever, and then we will complete a mission. Now, there are also envelopes, which I will leave you to discover for yourself in the base game, that they've reintroduced as a couple of other of them in the expansion that are overlays that give you the ability to reuse the maps that they give you with new stories, with new player dynamics, with new tokens sometimes. They're a lot of fun. But we get 4 new missions as the like core story in addition to some of those other side panels. We get 4 new heroes to play as. So you get Boba Fett, you get Fennec Shand, you get Bo-Katan Kryze, and you get Ahsoka Tano. And then we get a bunch of tweaks and tune-ups for all of our favorite characters from the base game. So we have our Mandalorian card that now has an ability on it. And so we get a bunch of these really fun abilities that we get to use that are a little bit more asymmetric than the stuff you had in the base game, as well as a couple of like replacement cards for like the jetpack and some of the components that some of the characters had in the base game as well. An interesting thing about the expansion is you actually get all the components right out the gate. So in the base game, there was a guide deck where you unlocked cards as you went on. Now they're assuming that you already like, you know, you've gotten enough surprises and you just want to have fun. And so I feel like you get to jump right into the action feeling really strong already. Fennec Shan's like a sniper, so you get to extend the range of your attacks by losing strength on your attacks, which is like kind of cool. So you can actually like shoot stuff far away. So it gives you the ability to do a couple of like really interesting things with your characters.
I would say the base game, it really helps gear you up into someone who hasn't played this style of game before. And when you play Clan of Two, it really lets you jump in and start playing it like obviously as you know how to play this game.
Yeah. Now, there were some other pretty interesting things that were new to this expansion. So we had this event deck that would happen. Basically, the only way that enemies get triggered is by you doing too much. So the more actions you do, the more the enemies will trigger. So if you're more cautious, they'll trigger less. But there were some cards that basically, you know, after their effect, we now have a then pop this thing up into an action slot, and it disrupts that action slot in some very interesting way. So it could be that when you add a card here, there's more punishment to like, you know, having it go over the 5 risk that you normally want to spend. It could be that it decreases the strength of actions that you play there. It could be that the next time somebody does something there, something else happens. So they added a lot of these sort of like interactive components, and on the map too. We liked a lot of the elevation that they brought into the game.
Yeah, the map variety in Clan of Two I really enjoyed, and just the different pathways that you couldn't, like in the first one I felt like it was kind of, and you can walk through all of the paths, and it wasn't, that level wasn't there. But in this one...
there were like a few little platforms.
Yeah, toward the end. But this one, it would be like blocking off like the whole map, and you have to figure out, or there'd be different cards that would only allow, if you played that card, to be able to like help you do that ability to make it easier.
Force jump, jetpacks.
Yeah, and I think it played really well into the theme in that area, because like depending on the character you would play, it wouldn't allow you to do different things. Or you had to really rely on your teammate to do this thing for you, because you might not have the abilities to be able to do that.
It gave you some optionality too. Like you could really actually make it a stealth mission instead of like a run and gun mission if you wanted to, where you could, you know, sneak around the back and jump in, which I thought was kind of cool. We'll show a couple spoilers here from the second mission in this, just because it had such a cool little map where you kind of like could jump down and avoid all of the bad guys just waiting for you at the door.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite missions that we played in it.
Yeah. Now, there was one mission later that completely changed the character's work, and I think it's worth discussing just because I thought it was such a fun one. you get snipers. So literally a character gets removed from the map and instead is a scope that moves around. And so they're just like tracking and covering for the other characters who are running and gunning their way out. And man, I loved that. I loved being the sniper. It was a lot of fun.
I also thought it was fun because almost all the characters until the end, it's really going to be like you only like can hit people like as melee. So that would really open up the opportunity to be able to like take more different advantage of the board.
Yeah, it felt much more cooperative, like I was covering for you, and there's fun stuff going on.
And like that, according to theme, this really does stay truthful to the material. So you are following pretty faithfully to the Mandalorian series, and in the Boba Fett series, this kind of goes into that one as well. So it really does like try and pick up and like, as you do those missions.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, that's Mandalorian Adventures. Honestly, like, if you've played Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, this is less complicated than that. I would say this is something you could play with your 10 or 12-year-old who, like, love Star Wars, and they'd probably have a really good time. The card puzzles are pretty neat. I think trying to play less than 5 points worth of cards, because when you do, then it triggers attacks, is... it's all about timing, and I think that made for a really interesting cooperative experience. Yeah.
But I would say that you're right in the sense that for a parent and their child that loves Star Wars, and the parent that loves Star Wars, like I think you even your dad would also enjoy playing this as well. As adults.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So if you love the Mandalorian series, if you're looking for a Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion type game that's a little bit simpler and easier to grasp onto, then I think Mandalorian Adventures is going to be one to check out. And it's by an amazing designer who has designed lots of different Star Wars
It's a duo of designer. Well, we have Corey who designs Imperial Assault and Star Wars Rebellion and those things, but we also have Josh Bepler who co-designed the games, and I know that he was a big part in how the games got designed as well. So thank you, Josh and Corey, for creating this awesome game.
As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have the opportunity, make sure to check out Mandalorian Adventures and Mandalorian Adventures Clan of 2, and I think you will have lots of fun. But if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know whenever we put out a new video, and we'll see you next time.
Happy playing!